Alright, kia ora. So today I've got some holes dug here that I'm going to be putting some trees into. So there's one here, probably that one needs a bit more work to be fair. You're really aiming, there's another one here, aiming for about a ½ metre across. And then there was an apple tree here. Got another hole dug here, or started. You see this hole here is really interesting. When I look in that hole, it's actually very dry. So I know that actually all of this bush above this hole is going to need to come out for the tree to be successful there. So I'll need to get onto that before any tree gets planted there. And another hole there and one at the end of the terrace. So look, it's really important when you are looking at planting your trees that you're looking at where they're going and if they're getting enough moisture, making sure they get off to a good start by putting some compost. So here are the cuttings that I took this year that have been successful, and I'll look at planting one of those into the hole that I've prepared. And there's one hole there that's has already been composted with topsoil, so a mix of compost and topsoil. So some of the labels have worked. So I've got a Fuji here, I've got a Gretna Green, I've got a Spartan, and I've got a Takapuna Russet, and a friend of mine has got a tree called Pacific Rose, which is a more recent cultivar, and I went to her place and I got a number of cuttings from her tree. And one tree, one of my grafts with the leaf disposition very similar to this, so I would say these two leaves are the same, had a barely discernible K for Karen on it. So my guess is these are the Pacific Rose and these are my heritage varieties. So if your labels have gone and you haven't been able to see the fruit yet, certainly looking at the leaf can help you. So this leaf has got a slight serration on it, and it's a narrower leaf and quite different in shape to this one, which in turn is quite different in shape to this one. So these are the 5 trees that I will be planting down this terrace area. Just thinking which ones will go where, but look, it's not really going to matter. I might grab the Gretna Green. Oh, actually, no, I'll put one of the Pacific Roses in here. So this hole here has been prepared. It's been prepared, dug out, it's well dug out. I've got my stakes on either side so that I know that the roots aren't going to be disturbed. So this little cutting here, this little graft, it's only going to need very light support from the stretchy fabric, that rope that I've got here. It's only going to need very light support to be successful, to hold it in an upright position, and it's really important you do that, even though with some in the orchard here that I've got, that hasn't happened. So the earth's surface, I mean, you need to understand this to really get the whole planting thing. A lot of people complain about clay. So, you know, they say, oh, we've got clay, so we can't do all this or this. But clay's great because it gives a vase effect. It gives a vase effect and holds the water. So you actually want some of that. But you need to be aware of where the ground is, where the clay level is in the ground. So when I looked at this hole, I knew the history of this spot. So here used to be the compost heap. So the soil there is rich and very dark looking. It's also had some compost added. Whereas this hole here, it's going to need quite a bit of work. It's going to need to be bigger. We're going to need to clear out a lot of the roots from around it for any tree in that hole to be successful. So you need to know the kind of soil you're planting into. And so here's the graft from this year. You can see just on the stem here. So you can see the difference in the wood between the rootstock, which was semi-dwarfing. So it's going to be about a 2 to 3 metre tree is where I'll hold this one at. I won't let it get too big. We're actually planning to use this platform in here for some sort of mini house or a retreat, so I don't want anything in front of it here to be getting too big. So there's your cutting. This is the first season, so you do have to be a bit careful that you're not putting any stress or tension on that at all. And then you just turn it up and over, which is reasonably difficult to do with one hand, but there we go. So I just put my hands either side. Particularly with a graft, you do want to be a bit careful that you're not putting any strain on it. These are well-rooted trees, so the rootstock is well established in there in that root ball. I'm not going to detangle it at all because you'll get told to do that at various times, but I know that this is yeah, quite ready to go. So because you don't want it too deep in the ground, you need to be a bit careful that there is sufficient worked soil under the roots, that the top of your root ball is near the surface, because if it's too low below the surface, then you're going to get into trouble with it. Yeah, you're going to get into trouble with it. So here it is sitting in the ground. You don't want it too low. You want the top of the root ball to be about even with the sides of the hole, and then the tree will. So here's the tree here. You want the root ball about even with the height of the surrounding area. You don't want any dip in it, because if that happens then water will gather there. The bank behind it, yes, I will need to tidy that up. You want any real active grass cleared right back, so that annually you're putting a bit of compost on it or trace minerals, and it really helps a tree. You put time and money into purchasing a tree. It's just important that you look after it when you're first planting it. I'll take some photos in a minute of how the stretchy support around it only needs to be very lightweight at this stage, and I tend to put it below where the graft went on. I mean, it's firmly established, but it's just what I like to do. And if you have any questions, if you want to like the video or put a comment below, please do, or subscribe if you want to hear what else is happening in our orchard. So from our garden to yours, bye. See you later.